Hello.
Hello. Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Had a fun time today, and I've got my cup of tea. Always makes me very happy.
Uh-huh. That's great. How was your day today?
Oh, it was very nice. So we're in Northern Virginia, just south of Washington, D.C., at the Manassas Battleground. And they're having their anniversary. I think it's the 155th anniversary. And we just sort of happened to stumble upon it. We didn't know that was happening here. And we went to the visitor center and they're like, hey, we've got special tours this week and you can go. So we watched a reenactment of a Civil War battle. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that's great.
So we're having fun.
Uh-huh. That's good. So, yep, I think we should get into the topic now.
Sounds good.
Facebook does more harm than good. So I want to state what my position on this debate is. So I know that Facebook was invented primarily for connecting people from one part of the world to the next part of the world, or maybe like anywhere. It's just the main idea was about communication. And when I say Facebook does more harm than good, I'm not saying that there's like, there's no benefit from Facebook. I'm saying that yes, like it's benefiting the communication, it is. But there are so many harms right now that if in case I compare it in a comparative basis between the harms and the goods it's providing, the harm is much worse than the good it is providing. So the communication that is happening is for good, like it's happening, and then it's for a good purpose. I do appreciate that part of Facebook, but there are a lot of cases where Facebook is providing intense harm to people, and then that's what I'm opposing in this debate. So yep, I think I'll just let you maybe like say your stance on like where do you stand on this point?
Sure. So as I see the question, it becomes my ground to either say that Facebook is a neutral force, something that is either neither good nor bad, or to show that Facebook is a force for good in the world and we all love it very much. So I will do a little bit of both. And I'll listen to your harms and I'll see what I can do to counter them or to compare them to the goods that Facebook does. So I'll probably start in with some of my Facebook positives, and then I'll try to discuss the harms that you're going to bring up.
Okay, great. All right. So I think firstly, in terms of the harm it's providing, I think it's creating an illusion for people. Like if you see, so people like even I myself, like I have 1,500 friends on Facebook, but who do I actually really maybe consider my friend, or who do I actually talk to, or who are those people like who actually care for me or maybe know about me? So I think it creates a lot of illusion among people that like and then so like it's just the criteria that I cannot identify, like I'm not even sure like who are my friends, so it's just the idea that when people have more friends on Facebook, like you're supposed to be popular. So just like right now there was a friend of mine who came to my house and then she saw like 1,600 friends on my Facebook. So what she told me was that, hey, like you're so popular, like so I think there's this conception that if in case you have more friends on Facebook, if in case you have more followers on Facebook, you are popular, people love you, and which is an illusion that it's creating, and it's not even real. And I know that a lot of people on my Facebook that they don't even like know me personally, or maybe they do not even care what I'm doing with my life. So I think there's this illusion that like I'm popular, like I have so many friends, and there are a lot of people like who care about me. And this illusion is something Facebook is creating. It's actually dispatching the communication. I think it's and there's this case that a lot of times there are people who you can talk to on Facebook, but who you cannot talk to in real life. So I had some friends like that. So when I was so open to those friends on Facebook, like we used to be like best buddies, like from my childhood. But like when we met, like I was so psyched to talk to that person, like so I think it just creates a lot of difference in the communication that happens in a real world and a virtual world. And then I think that's keeping away like us from experiencing the real world, because it's very different. And it's very different, like even though the idea of communication could be similar, and that's why Facebook was created. And if in case we compare these two worlds, it's very much different.
Okay. Shall I go with some?
Yeah.
All right,
Go
sounds
ahead.
good. Some Facebook positives. One is that people really like Facebook, and I'm a little bit of a market capitalist myself because I think that it's good for people to get the things that they want in life. And Facebook is something that people have chosen. It's the most popular online social network. So it's a means of communication that people find very enjoyable. I think that you have to look at all the people who choose to use it and enjoy using it and say, clearly it must be doing them some good in their lives and they're enjoying the process. Otherwise, they would find something else to do. There are many pieces of software out there that nobody uses because people just don't like them that much. So I think its popularity is manifest of the good that it does individuals, and that's why they choose to use it. It's been a platform for social protest and organization. India, Romania, Iran, Egypt, Tunisia, and others have had social revolutions, many of them peaceful, that have changed or influenced their government significantly, that were organized on Facebook because it provides a platform communication that's open to almost everybody in the world. It's a way for disparate family members to get together. This is, from my own personal experience, I didn't have a lot of interaction with most of my family members because I didn't see them in my day-to-day life. They didn't have the same hobbies as me, and my family is kind of diverse and spread out over a wide area. But now I travel around the country in an Airstream, and so I don't get to see a lot of people face-to-face every day. So I'm on Facebook a lot more than I used to be, and as a result, I'm a lot more connected to my family than I used to be, because I speak to them and communicate with them, and I see what they're doing, and they see what I'm doing. So it's brought us a lot closer together than I'd been with them before, which I think is great. There's a lot of handy tools that people use for all kinds of different things. It's got video chat, it's got text chat. There's little games you can play. So there's a lot of fun things in Facebook that people take advantage of. And it's a huge source of livelihood and revenue for millions of people. Lots of advertisers find customers on Facebook. I use Facebook to get people to go to my blog, trailandhitch.com. A little plug there. And I make a little bit of money that way, so it helps support our travels. And finally, I want to say it brings diverse people together. So I talk to people who have vastly different viewpoints than me. I really like to discuss ideas with people of all walks of life and learn how other people's lives are. And I've had a really interesting time interfacing with conservative people in America, Trump supporters, folks that I have a big political gulf. I've been having fun talking and learning about them. So I think it does that. I'm going to address a couple of your harms. I'm going to give you a chance to talk again because that went on for a little while. If you're there. Oh, that's not good. I lost my opponent. And the clock reset, which is really strange.
I'm so sorry, my internet went down. It's happening today a lot of times. I don't know why.
That's all right.
Okay, yeah, I was on your point, but is it? Oh my gosh, the debate restarted.
Yeah, it's like the time restarted, and so I don't know if the recording is going to have what we talked about before or not. Um, we could give a very brief
Short
summary
review.
just in case.
Okay. Okay, that works.
So when you go ahead and do your start, just we'll see what happens.
Okay. So when I say Facebook does more harm than good, I'm appreciating the communication Facebook is promoting. So the communication that Facebook has made easier, that's because like people from different parts of the world can connect together, families can connect together. That's something I agree. Like that's why I'm saying like I'm not disagreeing that Facebook does like no good. So that's why I have the motion Facebook does more harm than good. But there are a lot of harm things that Facebook is promoting today in the world, and that's something I'll be talking about. And yeah, I think I'll just be explaining the first point I talked about later, but you can explain your points first.
Okay, sure. I'll just try to show today that either Facebook is a neutral force, which people use for whatever they like, or that it is a force for good. I'll outline some points real quick in case you've already seen them. A lot of people like Facebook and they enjoy using it. So I think that alone tells us it's good for people because they choose it. It's a platform for peaceful protest and organization in many countries that are otherwise oppressive and people don't have a means to organize. It's a way for disparate family members to connect. And I gave my personal story on how it's brought me closer to my family. Has a lot of handy tools. It's a huge source of livelihood and revenue for millions of people who advertise on Facebook, including myself, and use it to find a bigger audience. And it's a great way to connect with diverse people and bring people together and build bridges of communication, much like QallOut does. I do the same thing on Facebook and try to talk to people with different points of view.
Okay, so when you say that there have been peaceful protests and then there have been like significant changes and like this kind of issues because of Facebook, I think there's a lot of fake activism that's going around on Facebook. I know that like people, there are people like on my Facebook who actually wake up one morning and then they don't even know like if it's International Women's Day, just because like everyone is posting about it. They post like a beautiful status on Women's Day, like as if they care about it. And I think that's how Facebook like forces people to do. Every morning, people wake up thinking about what words of wisdom shall they post today, and then Facebook actually does that. What do you think today? Like, how's your day? So, again, I think there's a lot of things people do not even care about, but then because they know they want to let people know that they're updated, they're like they're cool, they know everything about the world. They post about it. They post about Women's Day, and then they never care about what impact that Women's Day post is actually bringing to the women who are disprivileged or maybe underprivileged. There's no link between the impact it's creating. They're writing about it. They don't even care about Labor's Day. They write about it, but they don't even know if there's any significant impact or maybe even a certain level of impact that status is actually creating for those people who actually are laborers, so I think there's always this link that is missing between people and the actual thing and actual like activism that's required. And this link is the gap is actually widening because people love showing that they are updated, showing that they are cool, and then they post for those reasons. They don't even know the link, and that's one problem here. And in terms of this, I actually had a point which I cannot find right now, but okay, yeah, I'll just get back to, I think I'll just pass the mic to you for now.
Sure. So it sounds to me like a couple of the points you brought up, when you brought up earlier, which may or may not be in the intro here, about the illusion of friendship, that if you have tons of followers, you think you have many friends, when in truth you may not. You may not even know these people. They may hate you. You never know. And also that in-person communication is better than the kind of, sort of slightly less in-person communication from Facebook. So in a lot of these, I get the sense that you're saying that the interaction and social experience on Facebook takes the place or replaces a more genuine sense of these same ideas of activism, of friendship, and of communication. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I guess my challenge to that would be, one, is that really a bad thing? If people have an outlet to make them feel like they're participating in something that's bigger than themselves, that's a highly spiritual and affirming process. If they have the illusion of having lots of friends, that's also something that would give you a sense of satisfaction and happiness, generally speaking. It doesn't really harm you particularly to feel that you're loved. In fact, I think it's generally a good thing. And I understand the sense of communication, but I guess what we don't have is here is we don't really know if Facebook is replacing these ideas, if it's actually making those interactions not happen, or if it's just an adjunct, it's another thing that people can do. It's an expression that they have to reach a wider audience they didn't have before, but then they're also free to go out in their life and, as the people did in India, Romania, Iran, and Egypt, to take to the streets and do the things they need to do. So, and those people are on Facebook and they were out in the streets, making a real difference. So I'm not sure that we know that just because we have this facsimile of experience or this lesser version of real life interaction on Facebook, that it takes the place of those other types of interaction.
Okay. So when you say like it's all about expressing and there's no there's no bad thing in this, I think the problem is that when this self-expression is actually seeking validation from other people, that's the problem, because that is going to impact the way you are looking at it. So even if you are posting a picture of yourself, I know that you feel good about yourself, you want to post a picture, just go ahead, do it. But the problem is that you are now expecting a response from other people to validate yourself. And like, I think that now the thing is that that is actually going to create an impact on you. You are just going to refresh your web page just to make sure that you have enough likes on it. Or maybe now like Facebook has love buttons on it. So now you don't even care about likes. You want to see the love buttons on your Facebook. So the problem is that there's a sense of validation that is being intensified in yourself. And that's creating problem, because when you're expecting a response from the other person to feel good about yourself, this is a bigger problem. And nextly, this is a problem because, like, if you see, a lot of people do things on Facebook just, as I said, to seem cool, or maybe like maybe some people are real, but still, like, it's more about, I mean, if in case like there's a person who I have met maybe a few times, I would definitely comment maybe on his picture that, hey, like, you're looking so good. I know that in real life I'd not be able to see that on his face. So the thing is that, like, this kind of things actually happen in Facebook. So the thing is that, like, so the thing is, like, you're not actually able enough to take that response, take that response. Oh wait, I just missed the link here. I missed the link here. So it's just that, like, the idea that you're expecting a validation from someone else to feel good about yourself is not a good thing, because people do everything. People on Facebook, like, as I said before as well, the fake activism thing, people are doing anything on Facebook by expecting a response from the other person. That's why you tell them, that's why you are saying about it. You want people to react on it. So when these things happen, there's a bigger amount of risk you are pertaining yourself to. And since it's about self, I think it has this harm that you can be, like, that you can be open to.
Okay. It's an interesting point. From my own personal perspective, I try to think, well, have I suffered this harm sometime on Facebook? I mean, have I been overly obsessed with people liking my things? I certainly go, now I'll say on QallOut, I go check my debates and I see who's voted for me and what they have to say. When they say nice things, I'm pretty happy, right? So there is that. And that does happen on Facebook. And with my blog, it's the same way. I like to see what people are checking out on my articles. But here's my kind of counterpoint for a lot of things to have to do with Facebook. And it undermines some of my own arguments a little bit as well, but it holds to my position that if nothing else, it's a neutral force. I would say that these experiences we have are the same in real life. We seek validation from others in the social sphere all the time. If we go to a bar, I know back before I was married, I'd go to the bar and try to strut myself and look good, and I'm keeping aware of who's checking me out, and are girls going to dance with me if I ask them or not? All these types of experiences that we have on Facebook, we have in real life as well. It's just another avenue for the same kinds of social interaction we've always had. It's a little bit different, certainly. We have a wider reach, and there's a little less depth, but it's still there. And so I think most of the harms that we're talking about, as well as some of the benefits, are due to the just the people that are on Facebook. And if we didn't have Facebook, they'd be doing these same things somewhere else. They would be on G+ or Snapchat, or they'd be out in the streets talking to each other as well. I think that that's just human nature. We can't really say, but for Facebook, people wouldn't seek status or praise. Perhaps because it's so visible, it is intensified, both for the good and for the bad. The great pleasure we feel when people do hit that love button. I know I get a little tingle occasionally, right? So I generally think of it as a good thing. And Facebook intentionally does not have a hate button, or there's a wow and there's kind of a sad, but they don't really have an FU button, right? Which is great because it keeps people to some degree from going crazy on each other. It doesn't completely stop them, but I see a lot more positive interactions than negative ones. That may just be who I hang out with. I like nice people, so that happens. But kick it back over to you if you have further thoughts on that.
Okay. So I think the experiences between, even in this case, the experiences between the maybe the real world and the virtual world is very different, because if in case if in case like someone is actually commenting that virtually, I think you also I don't know, if in case it's a real thing, like you actually get to know, the deeper sense of it. If in case someone is telling you that you look good, there's a lot of things that could actually maybe strengthen your point. Like maybe if in case the person is happy while saying it, or maybe the expressions and everything, you can be more sure of what the person feels about you. But in case of like virtual reactions, like you don't know if in case someone is doing that in purpose, maybe just so that he could hang out with you, or just so maybe the person wants you to do like his notes or something for school, so it's just that there could always be a purpose for that, and that is kind of like misleading. But in case like in real world, I think it's more expressive. I'm not saying that one of the real world communication is effective or anything, but it's just that when we compare these two kind of experiences, I think yes, the idea that we do expect a response from people in real world as well, but it's I think it's more connective. It's more connective because what we see is more of what we know. But in terms of virtual world, we don't know what the purpose could be, and especially because we are pertaining ourselves to people all around the world, we're just giving, I think, more opportunity for ourselves to be attacked. But it doesn't. Yes, I guess I'm not so much clear on it, but yeah, I'll just pass the mic to you.
Sure. Well, I'd say that I've had kind of interactions in real life a number of times. I'm a pretty nice teamwork, trusting sort of person. My personal philosophy in life is I trust people first, and if they prove they're untrustworthy, then I will stop trusting them from then on. And I've certainly had interactions, usually most often in the office, where I trusted other parties, and in the end, they ended up betraying me, and to their own advantage. I lose and they win. Usually they only get to do that to me one time, sometimes twice, because I'm also a pretty forgiving person, but that's usually it, right? At that point, yeah. So that thing happens in real life too. If you go to a used car salesman, you get your guy in his tweedy jacket, and he'll stand on his head to make you a deal. That guy does not have your best interest at heart, I'm afraid, most of the time. He wants to sell you a car and get as much money as he can. So manipulation and use of people through obfuscation is just as easy to do in real life as it is in Facebook. In Facebook, you kind of have the blank wall. Everybody is a little bit harder to read. In real life, people who are socially skilled can even more convince you and earn false trust. So I think that cuts both ways as well. Let me read a couple little things. I did a little bit of research on some of the positive things from Facebook. So let me talk a little bit about this. This is from the Business News Daily from the Journal of Cyber Technology, Behavior, and Social Networking. In a study published earlier this year, researchers studied 30 students and found that a natural high was sparked when they were on social media network that led to relaxed heart rates and lower levels of stress and tension. This kind of supports my idea that people just like Facebook. It makes them feel good, which is one of the reasons we go there. Like I said, you run back to check on your updates and see if people were happy about it. And the reason you do that is it makes you feel good. Generally, I think that's a good thing for people to feel good. Research from keys.com found that a 10-minute Facebook break make employees happier, healthier, and more productive. We haven't talked too much about productivity. It's a common critique of Facebook, and it certainly can chew away your time like nobody's business, as anything that you really enjoy can. TV watching or whatever it is that you find enjoyable can chew up your time. But if you're disciplined about it, feeling good, taking a break, And the fact that it makes people happier, healthier, and more productive when they've had that experience, I think, speaks to its positive qualities.
Mm-hmm.
Also, conducted research at Abilene Christian University. A study found that students who are active on Facebook are less likely to drop out of school than those who don't use the social network.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're not sure if that's due to Facebook or that the people who like Facebook are the type who tend to stay in school because they have more social connections. But let us imagine that Facebook helps build social connections for people that have difficulty doing it in real life, such as people with autism or other conditions that make them feel awkward in public because of their appearance or their social mannerisms. There's a gentleman on my Facebook feed who I quite like. He has an unbelievably impressive vocabulary, and he uses it at every opportunity. I find it amusing. He wanders into threads and says something very philosophical, and people say strange things like, "Put your thesaurus away. What are you talking about? It's just a bunch of gibberish." But I also have a big vocabulary. I understand what he's saying, and he's a very intelligent person. I engaged a conversation with him, and apparently his therapist had suggested that he go on Facebook and make an account so that he gets practice interacting with people in a wider environment because he has difficulty doing this in real life. He's an unusual gentleman, but a very, very smart guy. So I really enjoy seeing him on there, and I like to encourage him from time to time and get his opinion on things. So he's a neat character. I meet a lot of interesting people like that on Facebook. I think it's a big outlet for people who otherwise have difficulty with those kind of social encounters.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. I think I have a few points listed out here. I'll just be going through it very properly because I just don't want to rush and then, miscommunicate things.
Sure,
okay.
take your time.
So, firstly, as I said before, is where communication is something I'm very appreciative of Facebook. As in general communication, like we could talk about maybe scheduling a debate, planning the debate on QallOut, and then this kind of communication has been much easier. I know that, and even QallOut, the Facebook debate page of QallOut. It's been much easier to communicate everything. I appreciate that. But there are a lot of things that are creating problems. So now, firstly, I think the idea of a perfect profile is creating problem. Secondly, it's the idea of virtual stardom that is creating problem. And thirdly, I think there's a lot of exaggeration for sympathy from people as well. So I'll be explaining the idea of perfect profile first. I think whenever people are actually posting a status and everything, they use elite words, they go into maybe Google and search top words. They try to use the best of the words just to ensure that they look good, they sound good, maybe they sound elite. And then there's a lot of problems that people don't end up even understanding those statuses, but people just like it. I like you, you like me back. That's how things go in Facebook. So I had some friends back maybe a few years ago. They used to call me and then tell me that, hey, could you please like my picture? Or maybe could you please comment on my picture? I've saw these comments. What are people going to think about me? So this idea of a perfect profile, this idea that there are so many people who love you, and then there are so many people who comment, oh my God, you are so beautiful, and all so this kind of perfect idea of perfect profile is a problematic thing in people. And I think if in case we are doing this, we are promoting the same exact thing in the real life as well. Now that's another problem. It's creating the idea that we have this on a virtual world is actually is having a direct impact on the real world as well, because and I think that's problematic. So the idea of perfect profile, just the fact that you need to be updated, and you need to be protesting, maybe you need to be talking about feminism because you can sound good, while you don't even care about it, while you don't maybe even know about it. You just go to Google, you search the best status, you post on it. Why? Because you want people to like your status. You want people to think that you are good, you are smart. And I think that's a problem, because you're not self-expressing yourself, and that is communicating something wrong to the people on Facebook. So the idea of communication which Facebook was established for is going wrong, because you are posting things that maybe someone else wrote on their context. So you are just doing it because you want to feel good about yourself, and that expression is creating problems because this is communicating something different to the people on Facebook. So the whole sense of communication goes wrong here. And secondly, the idea of virtual stardom. I think people now have Facebook pages. It's very interesting. People have Facebook pages, followers, and they enjoy it. I mean, they don't even know if in case these people are actually, or maybe would actually care about them, or in real, like be concerned, or maybe would be real, like, you know, fans and all. Because as I said, it's more like the concept that I like you, you like me back. So that's how the virtual stardom is going now. You post everything to gain likes, to gain followers. And I get a lot of comment, like links on my Facebook message like telling me that, hey, could you please like my page, you know, it's about this and that. So, you know, it's and if in case it's my friend, or maybe if in case it's my distant relative, I'm forced to do it, because, you know, I'd be a bad person if I don't do it back. So I think the idea that I like you, you like me back is creating a sense of virtual stardom in people, and people enjoy it. People enjoy posting pictures about themselves, even if they don't like to smile, they'll just smile and post a picture of them. It's just because like they want to hear comment like, hey, you have a pretty smile. And I think the idea of forced a smile is something I'm very against, because people are just posing for smiles even when they do not feel happy about it. Every time a camera shows in, you're just like, you know, I think that's something I have a problem with. Because even if you're very nervous or very unhappy about the day, you are ready to post a fake smile on Facebook. And that's, again, communicating a wrong thing. That's not expression. That's communicating a different thing. And that is actually forcing you to be happy even when you are unhappy, or maybe hide your emotions here, because you want to present a perfect profile to people. You want to let people know that you're always happy, you are always jolly, you are having the best life ever. So you are not showing your sad emotions to people. And on the second thing, now there are some people who are misusing these sad emotions. People love posting about like they have depression, or maybe they have anxiety. Like, you know, people love posting the pictures of their broken leg. So like, you know, this is something they're doing for exaggeration of sympathy. There was a time when I know that people, like, you know, people would not be so open about their pain, maybe like just to some close people, and then they could share it, they could talk about it. But now people love showing their pain to everyone, because they will be gaining sympathy. They will be like, hey, like, take care, like, you know, love you, you know. So this is something people are doing. This is an exaggeration of sympathy. People are talking about depression just because they can gain a sympathy from other people, and then it's not good. It's actually creating a lot of mental impact as well, you know. So it's problematic. And as I said, like, people post sad status just to make sure that people give an overload of sympathy to them, and then they can feel happy about it. And yes, that's a problem. That's a big problem, I would say. And there are a lot of attention seekers today, and you never know if in case people are posting just to seek attention. And in terms of market as well, when you talk about like institutions that are running, like, you know, on the basis of Facebook, or maybe there are some stores, online stores and everything that are actually running through Facebook, there's a problem with this, because they are failing to understand the market. Because you should know that everything people are doing on Facebook is because they want to, is because they are expecting a response from somebody else. They're actually doing that to portray an image of themselves. So if in case I see a jewelry of maybe $1,000, I would comment something on it, just because like people, maybe my like friend list would know that, hey, like, I'm interested in it, look at this, like she might be buying this or something, you know. So there's this idea that people are actually doing this to expect a response from somebody else. So, but even in terms of market, maybe like the market, or maybe the institution that is running on the basis of Facebook could actually be in disadvantage, because as I said, a lot of people are doing it on purpose. A lot of people are commenting on purpose, not necessarily are going to buy it. So this is also creating a problem in this. And I think I'll just give you an example and then pass on the mic to you. In Nepal, like, there was recently an election, and then there was a youth party, like, who was really, like, you know, who was all over on Facebook. And it seemed like, you know, oh my gosh, like, they're going to win this election because they are all over Facebook. Everyone is supporting them. But turns out of like 4 different parties, they are the lowest vote. Well, I never heard about the rest 3 parties on the Facebook. That was the only party I actually heard on Facebook, but still they had the lowest vote. So the problem here is that Facebook is not the entire world, and that's what we are presuming, and that's what the problem is. And what we see is that whatever we do on Facebook, you know, I think we have this illusion that it's just Facebook, and if in case we are on Facebook, we're just everywhere, and that's another problem with this. And I think that's the problem that existed in that party as well. They were super confident that they were going to win the election, but they didn't, even though they were on Facebook. And I think so this Yes, I think understanding market, understanding like citizen, or maybe understanding market as a whole. I think even that is on disadvantage in this case. Yeah. So I just pass on the mic to you.
Okay. Well, let me see if I can counter some of these points. So
Okay.
we talk about the perfect profile problem, as I've noted it here, which is all about being the best. This is all a little strange to me. It's just not in my nature. I like to maybe make myself look good, but I don't worry too much about how other people are doing it. I always think the way I'm doing it is the best way. That's just the kind of guy I am. I'm probably wrong a lot of the time, however. My wife is making funny faces at me. At any rate, I would say, to counter this point, this is one while I will use the great, is it really Facebook? Is that really different from the way people wear designer fashions, or they get the latest handbag, or, oh, I'm driving a Prius, I must be a good person? All the kinds of consumerism and messaging that people send every day through their social interactions, what hairstyle they're wearing, what shoes they wear, where they go to lunch. Oh, I don't eat fast food. I'm much above that. Whether they're vegetarian as a point of social pride instead of a matter of personal conscience. I think people do these kinds of things all the time, and Facebook is only an example of that, rather than a special case wherein you see this more than you do anywhere else. I haven't noticed a lot, but then again, it's not something I've looked for very carefully. So perhaps some of my friends are doing these things, although I kind of suspect not. But I'm sure there are other circles of people out there where this is much more common. However, again, I see these kinds of things when I walk the street. I see it a lot more because out in the general public, if you go someplace, you aren't necessarily going to see the kind of people you normally associate with. So I see this kind of fashion conscious, status evoking type people a lot more. So I know it's out there, but I know it's out there because it happens in real life. So let's talk about virtual stardom. I think that's kind of interesting. Um, I guess, if you have a problem with virtual stardom, I don't know what the difference is, again, from real stardom, or, people who think they're a star because they were in that one Buffy episode that one time, or whatever it happens to be. We all like attention and being the center of attention. And generally, I think people like virtual stardom. I think that's, something that people work for. And I don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing. It could be. But I think for a lot of people, it's very positive. It gives them motivation. They see other people who have become a star because they have a beautiful singing voice, but they otherwise wouldn't have got access to a large audience, but for Facebook or YouTube or the internet in general. So I think that is just as much a positive as a negative. I think people want to reach for popularity and stardom, and if that's something that appeals to them, then more power to them, I'd say. I think that can be a good thing. You also mentioned getting sympathy for your pain, and again, to me, if I'm in pain, I kind of want sympathy, and I'm glad I've got a way to get some of that. I don't know that it does me a lot of bad. Maybe it even soothes me. I suppose some people do become drama queens or drama kings, as the case may be, to be gender even in that. I know people of this nature on Facebook, and I don't know that Facebook causes them to be like that. They tend to be like that in person as well. There's always something bad happening in their life. There's always some sort of trouble going on that they could use some sympathy with. I'm usually pretty happy to provide some of it. Maybe not too much. Sometimes I'll try to provide a little, like, hey, maybe you could make this problem go away with a slightly different attitude or set of actions. These things wouldn't happen to you so much. Try to be polite about it. But on the other hand, I think, on the positive side, there are people out there who really are suffering and are more or less alone, and they don't have people close to them in their life where they live. Again, people who have serious depression have difficulty keeping friends and loved ones because they can get very angry, and they can be kind of a bummer for other people, and they can have trouble making those connections. But online, you have a limited exposure to someone, and it's a lot easier to, if they're bothering you, to just ignore them, but to just pop a little line and say, hey, it's going to be all right. Know that there are people out here that care about you. And that can be very positive and reinforcing for somebody who's going through serious depression and needs a lifeline to someone, so they can feel like they're not alone in the universe, that there are other people suffering just like them. So I think that's important. Online marketing, creating might be bad for businesses. Like they could be promoted not because people actually want to buy their product, but because they're using it as a status symbol. I could see that, but really, most advertisers just want attention. They just want eyeballs. They want you to know that they exist, and then maybe if you're interested in their project, you'll buy it. Most advertising is just about getting views and impressions, and I'm sure they'd love conversions, but the more eyeballs, the better. I think for most marketing people. I know that's kind of why I do it. When I first jumped on Facebook, it was mostly to promote my blog, but the more I got in there, the more I found that, wow, since I travel around the country, I need to keep track of my old friends and my family and form those connections. So I did that way, but it is good. It does help my business. I do get traffic to my website from Facebook, and it's a great way to let people know the things I'm doing on my blog and such. So finally, I think the false impression in politics is pretty important. That's interesting. We saw some of that in the recent American election as well. People are like, Rand Paul's going to take it this time. Bernie Sanders is going to win. Maybe not so much. He's popular with online people. And I will say that can be kind of a bad thing. Anything that creates false information in people's mind has some potential problems. However, I will say this. On the positive side, which I think at least counterbalances it, you get a wider range of views on the internet. You don't just get the mainstream media. You don't just get the people that everybody thinks are going to win. You get to hear from the underdogs. You get to hear from the small voices and the minority voices. And that's going to give you, this is a platform for those guys to get their word out. And I think that's actually really important. I mean, you had that fourth place guy. It's good that people heard about him somewhere. And if Facebook is that place, then so be it. I think you shouldn't get all your information from Facebook. You shouldn't get it all from online. Everybody deserves a variety of sources. Is always best to know about the world. But so I think it's good and that highlights a positive of it rather than a negative, I would say. And finally, I'll just remind the folks who are watching and judging, I want everybody to ask yourself, is this something that Facebook causes, or is this something that people use Facebook for that they would do anyway? That's my generic counter to everything. I think it's true that Facebook is mostly a medium. The only thing that I think is unique about Facebook is, you could say, the quality of its specific features and its broad reach. It is one of the broadest, most used platforms, and therefore has a wide voice. So if there is a bad thing, it is widely broadcast. But if there's a good thing, that too, widely broadcast. I'll leave it at that.
All right. So I think Facebook was designed to be addictive, and then I think it's getting into people very properly. It's actually achieving what we want it to be. It was designed to be addictive, and that's how the techniques have been used to actually, maybe develop it. That's where there's update and everything that actually would give them a sense of idea that there would be more people using it or something. So I think they're doing good on it. They're getting people addicted to it. All right, so I will tell you what the problem exists within the virtual stardom, or maybe the problem within, expression at Facebook or maybe social media. The things that people, as I said, people are communicating the wrong things because as I said, they're expressing something. They're actually giving, because they just want to seem cool. They want to seem like liberal, maybe, or maybe they want to seem like updated and everything. So let's give an example. So if in case there's a discussion around if in case a person would marry or rape women or not, I know that maybe 99% of the people would comment yes, even though they never actually put this question on themselves. They never actually think on it whether or not they'll do it in actual or maybe real life. They will actually just be saying yes. Why? Because they want to sound liberal, because they want to sound that they're so open, or maybe open to accepting it. They're good human beings, and then they are so open to do it. And that's what people would do, even though they never ask this question to themselves. And that is the problem with it. So even in the same case would run maybe for perfect profile or maybe virtual stardom as well, because people are doing something to just, as I said, maybe just seem cool, or they never ask the question to themselves. They never actually ask what are they feeling. They just ask themselves, what should I write to feel, maybe to sound the smartest, or maybe to feel the best like, to give the best version to people. And I think that's where the problem lies. And then secondly, when you talk about depression, when you talk about the idea that there are so many people who need to know that there are a lot of people, like they are maybe going through the same pain or anything, that they are not alone. I think this actually minimizes how big is depression. Like, is it like, is something that is happening to people. I think this actually okay, wait, just a second, I just lost the train of my thought. Just the idea that, like, it's something that's very huge. And then when you are so when you are telling me that people commenting that, hey, like, we are with you, or like, we are with you, you're not alone, and these things are not something that is actually going to release them from depression, or that is not actually going to make them feel any better. It's not, because it's something that's very huge, and it's not something that actually goes so superficially. And then if in case it was so, like, they were even like, I have seen like children doing suicide and all. I know that their parents still love them. I know that their parents still told them that, hey, like, you're fine, we are always there to support you. But why did they do that? There's always a greater reason to it. So when you tell me that people are like commenting that, hey, you are good, like, we are with you, it is not actually going to make a difference on it. It's just a temporary, maybe even if it's just a temporary thing, that is a temporary not even satisfaction, temporary relief a person would be getting, but it has no longer impact. It has no longer impact at all, and that's a problem. So and thirdly, I think today, like, I can see, okay, this is and this is not funny, but this is still funny. Like, I can see people posting selfies with dead bodies, like, and it's crazy. And the next thing is that I can see people going to, like, volunteer somewhere, or maybe doing social work, and then clicking pictures with them. And still, like, now this is not because they are actually doing social work, or they're actually going out and helping someone else. It's just because they want the world to know that they're doing it, even though they are not actually doing it on purpose or making an impact on the community. They're doing it because they want to feel good. They want people to comment on their post that, hey, like, this is an amazing job you're doing. You're a great human being. So this is, like, this is in, I don't know, the idea that Facebook is intensifying the need of validation is something I have a big problem with. I know, if in case you ask a person, why does he have to post a picture every day of his face? Like, the person cannot answer it. Like, the person does not have a big answer to it. The person does not know why. So let's say a person is very hungry. He goes to a restaurant. Now, when his food comes, so he will take, like, maybe he'll take 20 shots of the picture of the food, and then he will spend maybe more 10 minutes on editing that picture and then posting it on Facebook. He'll even forget that he's hungry. So, the idea that there's a version I'm giving to the society, there's a version I have to present to the society, is very is problematic. One friend of mine actually told me that you have an amazing online personality. So I'm like, is there something like that? Like, I was so disgusted by that. I mean, I know that he didn't mean it in a bad sense, but just the idea that I can have an online personality. Oh my gosh. Like, so some people have actually told me that my profile looks very perfect. And then I don't know, I felt it does not give a good feeling to me. It does not give a good feeling to me. I felt very bad when someone told me that it seems like everything in your life is so amazing, Zamuna, like, you're doing so great. And then, I think this, even this set me back. I didn't feel good about it. So I think this has a deeper impact. And then everything that is happening is for temporary satisfaction. And a friend who would not like your picture on your Facebook, or maybe would just comment something funny, or maybe reveal something funny about you on Facebook, could be unfriended next day. So, so it's all about an impression. It's all about an impression that you are creating of in someone. And since you haven't exposed the problem, when you say that this is happening in real life as well, like, the problem is that I think Facebook is, or maybe this virtual world is having a connection with that real world. And then if it is happening more in the real world, it's because of this world, this virtual world, that is promoting that one. It's not that we had it before and then we took it into Facebook. It's that we have it in Facebook and then now we are taking it into the real world. We are taking the idea of validation more into the real world now because of Facebook. And that's another problem here. And yes, I think I would just pass on this mic to you now.
Okay, sounds good. Let me try to respond to these. So on the issue that is designed to be addictive, I suppose that may be true, but the question, I would say nearly every product to some degree is designed to be addictive to the customer or liked very much. TV, news, many of the things that compete for our attention. Anything competing for our attention is going to be like that. Video games. I love video games. So the question is it harmful for us to use it? And that's what we're here to decide. So the question that it's attractive and addictive to us, I suppose, partly robs us of the sense that we make our own choices. With everything competing, we're still going to choose one of these addictive things, or maybe we'll resist and we'll just read a quality book once in a while. But I don't know that it's a unique harm of Facebook or something unusual about it. And if you believe my arguments and agree with me that generally speaking, Facebook does a lot of good things for you, connecting with your family, broadening out the horizon of people that you associate with, providing social connections for people who have difficulty with these in real life, then its addictive quality is only good because it draws more people to Facebook to enjoy these benefits. Let's say people who portray a false sense of morality on Facebook. I want to counter with this possible point. It's an experience in my life that people act based on their sense of identity. So people say, I'm a Christian, they try to do things a Christian way. I'm a liberal, things do in a liberal way. If people are trying to portray a false sense of morality, that they're better people than they say they are, the act of them portraying themselves as these better people may well inspire them to actually do better actions in their real life. It establishes an identity of somebody who does quality things and cares about the community, and maybe that'll rub off and they'll actually do these things because they want to maintain that social experience. And if they do good because they want to be popular, I'm okay with that. So long as they're doing good, I don't really care what their motivation is particularly. So I think that can actually be a positive thing when people portray themselves as something maybe they're not. Minimizing depression due to perhaps overexposure or just can make it, I guess, less serious. I guess there's a chance of that, but I also say it is also a chance to help people. I had a friend who was suffering from some pretty nasty depression because of events in his life, and I and some other friends gently encouraged him over time that maybe he should see a therapist. And in the end, he decided to do that. Enough people had suggested it to him that he decided to do that, and it helped him feel better. And he thanked everybody online for encouraging him and giving him the courage to go do something he'd never done before. So I think it can actually help these people. And that's an incredible good that Facebook can do. People taking pictures with dead bodies, people do some crazy stuff. That's for sure. I don't understand it very well. But, you know, I have to say, such is life. If they're not really hurting people and they want to do crazy stunts to get attention, well, I'm not sure that that's a terrible social harm that outweighs all the good that Facebook can do in bringing people together. It's perhaps a shame. And if nothing else, look, it gives us a chance to confront people and to say, hey, why are you doing these crazy things? I don't think that's really very cool. So, you know, if we all want to be earnest on people, and you seem like a person who at your core is about being genuine, then I think, you know, what we have to do is have the courage to say to people who we think are pretending to be something they're not, hey, you know, I like you for who you really are, not for who you pretend to be. Just saying, love you, hit the love button, and leave it at that. We're almost out of time. Since you got the opening, I guess I'm getting the closing here. So I asked the judges to think about the question and decide for yourself if you think Facebook is good or bad, but hopefully also consider our arguments. Thanks.
Okay, great. So one last thing I